love your hair like
Oh, it's so hard to do anything with it. It's just I haven't washed it and I just put it up. But thank you.
it looks great.
Okay,
I
you could
know.
just you could skip that first part. Just say
What? What's that?
thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Yes, you're right.
It-
Absolutely right.
so it feels like forever, at least to me. I don't know about you, but to me it feels like forever since we talked. And I'm really excited. Sorry, I'm just trying to write here and my pencil is not working as always. Really excited to be here with you today. I am curious to hear about what came up as you were touching touching base with the divine part. I want to hear what opened up inside of that. And but let's just start, as always, start with a centering exercise. So just take a deep breath and settle inside yourself. And just take a moment to thank yourself for being here, for being willing to do this work, for giving yourself this gift. Thank yourself. Let yourself arrive right here and right now. And before we go any further, I would like to read to you, and you know this already, Our Deepest Fear by Marianne Williamson. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we're liberated from our own fears, our presence automatically liberates us and others. So just sit in that for a moment. And remember that you're worthy just because you exist. You deserve to give yourself just because you exist. Out of the, I don't know how many billion sperms, you made it. You got here. Let that be the only accomplishment that matters to define your worthiness. So just get present to that. Get present to that place inside yourself where your soul lives, where you're tethered to the divine. And fill yourself up with the power and the beauty. Let yourself become present to your glorious self. There's nobody like you. And if you don't do what you came here to do, there's something missing. Like in a puzzle piece in a puzzle. And you know how annoying that is, right? When there's that one missing piece. And to do what you came here to do, whether big or small, that's a judgment, right? Big or small. You need to take care of you to be able to provide that. So see what you need right now that you can give yourself. Is there anything that you need, urgently need right now, that you can give yourself right now? And fill yourself up with it. And then take another deep breath. And imagine the three of us being in this room together. We're actually holding hands. Giving, receiving, giving, receiving. So see what you want to give. And what you want to receive. Feel it. And then take another deep breath. Come on back to your room. Come on back to your chair. When you're ready, open your eyes. So, what happened in the last 2 weeks? Oh, hold on a second. Did you receive the card that I picked? Did the text go through? No. Okay, so it's Kuan Yin, compassion. And it says, release judgment about yourself and others and focus on the love and light that is within everyone. I send it out, but I don't know, something is going on with my phone today. And what it says, let me see, Kuan Yin, how do you spell that? Kuan Yin. The message from Kuan Yin: gentleness is the strength behind true power, and it comes from feeding yourself and with nourishing words, thoughts, deeds, intentions, and all forms of food. Shield yourself from harshness by placing an intention to attract only kind and gentle life lessons and relationships. Transform harshness into gentleness by refusing to see anything but the shining light that's within each person and situation. This intention begins with your relationship with yourself. Be very gentle with yourself in all ways. Be happy, be kind, be sweet, but most of all, be true to you. Quite powerful, huh? So, well, how were the last 2 weeks? Were you able to connect to your divine self? What did you notice? What came up? What were the challenges or breakdowns?
I I guess it seems like it's been a long time, but it also seems like it hasn't been at the same time. So I don't know that I can say I've been checking in with my divine self on any kind of deep level. For me, I mean, I made some power movements more so, like, it might sound silly to you guys, but I hired a painter to paint my ceilings, and I bought 2 sets of washers and dryers. Like, it's a big step in independence and claiming what I want, without like feeling like I can't have it, or that I'm a victim, or if I have to wait for someone else's permission, or I kind of just said I'm doing it. Like there's always definitely some fear attached to it because we're spending the money and all that, but I just was like, yeah, I'm tired of waiting around, and I'll figure out a way to replenish the money, and I'm just gonna do it. So that's been, I think, a big thing. And I told you guys that I'm working on the whole house thing. So I feel like this is a big catalyst to, my house is literally, I don't know if you could hear the noise during the thing, but it's just the ceilings, but they've had to replace the whole ceiling in a bathroom, and they're like screwing things and mending things. And so there's stuff everywhere at my house right now. So that part's a little uncomfortable, but I'm like, yay, we're getting it done. So, yeah. And I feel a little more certain in my, what's mine and what's my kids, kind of just letting a lot of that go. Obviously I'll always have some concerns or whatever, but it's like, I'm not pushing. I'm like asking questions, and if they seem like they want to talk about it, then we talk about it. If they don't, I just let it go, and I'm trusting that they can take care of what they need to take care of, and they know I'm available if they need me. So that feels good. I don't know. I also started I can't remember if I told you guys, but I started my meditation teacher training. And so I've had interactions with 2 of my partners that I'm going to have for 2 years to do this partner rain meditation, which is kind of similar, Martina, to what you were doing, but it's RAIN stands for recognize, allow, investigate, and nurture. And then after the RAIN is kind of just noticing where you are now from where you were before. And it's kind of a process that you take yourself through for something that's like creating some discomfort or dis-ease or turmoil inside you, and then giving yourself the time to see the truth. And so that's pretty powerful too. And I get to have it for 2 years, so I think that's going to be quite extraordinary, inside of all the other things that's going on. But yeah,
You're also doing the cleanse, right? How is that going?
Also doing the cleanse. I'm actually was going back through my notes and being like, somewhere I wrote in here, like reevaluating what works for me and what doesn't work for me. And so I've been in conversation about the parts that aren't. And so I'm trying to, ask and allow, feedback from others and whatever. So yeah, I'm doing it. I'm a little frustrated with it. I'm not seeing the weight loss that I was kind of hoping to see yet. Of course, it's not even been a month yet, so, and I'm in it for 3 months, so. But yes, I'm also doing that, which is another huge undertaking. And
Mm.
so, yeah, lots going on.
Yeah, you.
A lot of
Lots.
upheaval, I feel like, like I'm kind of in the messy, but it's like feels so much better than just being stagnant that I feel like I've been for too long. So it's good.
Good for you.
It feels to me like you're really taking care of yourself.
Yeah. Thank you. I think so too.
Doing lots of good steps.
Yeah. A lot of work on boundary stuff, which has been, I mean, I'll probably, that will be a thing that I continue to work on my entire life, but I feel like I'm making some headway finally.
It's a lifetime work. The boundaries is a lifetime work. Yeah. Good for you.
Thanks.
It's really exciting. How about you, Susan?
I think I was going to focus on the meditation and to tap into the divine, and I did fine until last Wednesday when I had to go to the doctors again. I had the eye doctor in the morning and the orthopedic in the afternoon, and then a follow-up of cardiology, and in all of those things are sort of stable, but they're moving. They're not as good as I want them to be. And so I was really down. I thought, oh, I'm dying, I'm just so old, I'm done. And all of those feelings I had about my parents when they were older, they were 5 or 6 years older than I am now, but they had a very quick demise. And, within 2 years, both of them had died. And I unfortunately inherited from my father the eyesight, from my mother the heart stuff. And I thought, what is there to do? I mean, And so I started meditating. This is interesting. When I went to the cardiologist, my blood pressure was really high. And the nurse said, I'm going to walk out of here and I'm going to come back in about 5 minutes or so, and I'm going to take it again. And I said, okay. And I just quieted my body, settled down, did some meditation, because she was gone longer than 5 minutes. And then when she came back, my blood pressure had returned to normal, the normal range, which was astonishing to me because it was really pretty high. And so I realized that I need to do more than just, I need to get into the deeper meditation, which is it's like what you were talking about, rain. It was like a gift. I'm going to really look this up and just see what it has to offer.
I can send you some stuff. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So the word, when you asked for, I think was it two, what we needed? The things that came up for me were sacredness, about compassion and hope. And so even before, so this whole class ahead of us today feels so appropriate. And a book also fell into my lap, really, by Hyman. I don't know if you know him. He's a functional medicine doctor, but he's very much into, do you know him? Mark Hyman. I don't know, but he was talking about how he had experienced when 10 years ago, a lot of incidences. And he said, breaking my arm was one of the worst things that had happened to me. And I thought, he says that. So I don't want to stay in that state. So I want to move forward. I want to settle myself down and use all the resources that I can find to feel like I'm getting back on track again.
Beautiful. You know, just because your parents had those conditions doesn't mean that you need to have them,
I know.
right?
I know.
You might have a precondition to them, but it doesn't mean, you know, and it all in the end comes down to you. And it's not about putting weight on you. It's not
No.
my intention, but it's a choice, right? That we
That's
have.
what was coming up. You know, that's why the action has started to kick in.
Mm.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Can I also share, because I'm also struggling with, it's been a thing with me that comes and goes, and it seems to be present again right now, time. And it's not so much time, how much time do I have left in this life, but like I feel like there's so many things I want to learn, and there's so much things I have to do, and just never seems like there's enough time. And so I really try to be aware of that conversation, because it's really just a story I tell myself. And all we ever really have is this moment.
I know. That's
No matter
exactly.
how long we have on this earth, like all we really have is this moment. So make it be present and feel whatever is there, good, bad, sideways, whatever it is. Like that's the zest in life. It's so thank you for the reminder, because
Well, thank you for verbalizing it so well. It's absolutely true. Yeah.
Beautiful. And it's an ongoing, right? It's a constant bringing ourselves back there, right? And this is going to lead into the conversation we're going to have today. I was kind of in a downward spiral yesterday, and it was bad, you know, like it went from, okay, I'm fat, to what am I doing here in this course? Do they even get results? By the way, Colleen, you assured me in my dream that you're getting results, so whatever it is. But it was just really like one after the other, you know, like, and one of the things I've been sitting with while I was away, we had this conversation about Nico and about productivity. And I was really sitting with that, I guess, because that's why all this stuff came up. And one of the things that came up this morning is that there is a standard for productivity, right? Like the ideal woman.
Mm-hmm.
And we, we judge other people according to our standards of productivity. And then we judge ourselves according to the standard of productivity. And like the ideal woman, we will never get there, right? Mm-hmm. There's so many, there's so many things that are tied up in that. You know, one of the things that came was, so the first thing that was, we were talking about Nico and about how Luca and Andreas both say that he should be more proactive and he should get ready for like find an internship for the summer and what I got is that the world that we live in is a very masculine world, right? Everything you do has to have a purpose. Everybody needs to contribute. It's almost like contribute to the greater good. And if I compare him to my standard of productivity, he will lose right? He definitely will lose. There's no chance. But who am I to say what works for him or not? And if Nico doesn't follow, like he just does his life. He just lives his life, or anybody for that matter. In our minds, we kind of associate them with not valued, what's the word? Not valuable members of society, or something like that, right? People who enjoy their lives too much are slackers. People who have too much fun are frivolous. And in a way, we're starting to move away from that very masculine world, but still it's very twisted in our minds, right? It's still, and it's not men or women, it's masculine and feminine. There's a lot of competition, there's a lot of comparing. It's a world of winners or losers. So instead of valuing each person, right, the puzzle piece, we have a constant critic that is telling us good, bad, right, wrong, good, that. You know, this is what it's supposed to look like, right? The supposed to, the shoulds, have tos. So I'm going to leave it at that right now. So I just want to hear what you hear out of all that I said. This was a lot of information.
Yeah, I can't say I disagree. And I also think the personal struggle, I'll speak just for myself, is if I want to change the way I look at the people, myself, or the people in my inner circle, it's like this society doesn't allow you to change that perception. And so it just, and not that you can't, but it just makes it 10 times harder. Because you're just not supported. You're not supported by the generation before you, because you're not supported by anyone else who isn't thinking about it, your peers, your work, just like I'm on Indeed, always looking for coaching jobs, and the amount that they expect from an employee for like so little pay is insane. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm not signing up for that. I'm just not. Like, I'm not gonna kill myself. It's not necessary. And in my little, I will find work that feels right to me, but for right now, I'm being super selective, and people can judge that as whatever they want. But I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I feel like I have to perform in order to, and you know what I mean? I'm not, obviously you have to perform in a job you're being paid for. That's not what I mean. But like, outside of what is even acceptable expectations, it's just crazy. It really is. And I have Cameron, who beats to his own drummer too. And each of my kids, of course, each one of my kids are very different, and they're all going to do different things, and they're connected with partners that do different things and at different levels. And yeah, I find myself, my one daughter's, partner is lazy because he only wants to work 2 days a week, and he's got a kid, and it's like, okay, is that true? I don't know. I just don't know. Or maybe he's just like, I don't know. Either way, it's a judgment on my part, for 100% sure. So yeah, I agree with what you had to say. And
it is a very big subject, if you sit in it and look at how, because part of that, no, the shoulds and the have tos, part of them come from that, right? From those concepts. And even for you, Susan, who is retired, I imagine there is plenty of that.
Oh yeah.
In your own way. And as you said, like standing firm in a society that doesn't agree is really challenging. And the first step is finding the way back to yourself. Because if you can't find the way back to yourself and what's important to you, then you can say, you know what, I really don't give anything, I don't give a damn about this, right?
And in knowing you need to do that, to get back to yourself, to keep touching base, because I went through the same thing this week, because Tony is fully engaged in work and loves his work, but he's had a particularly grueling 3 weeks where he's teaching and he's also doing other stuff, and he's been sort of distracted, let me put it that way. And I had this conversation over the weekend with him, like, Tony, I just want to say that I admire your working and I know it's so important for you, but I want to get out and I want to travel. I want to go to the mountains. I want to go, and if you really don't have time for this, I just want to tell you that I plan to do it. And it kind of shook him up. And so it was a very good conversation, but the whole idea that I had been sitting with this, I think it was the dichotomy of his being fully engaged and mine having sort of a purposeless life going on, right? Had really gotten to me. And that was part of it. And part of it, I was touching base, and I wasn't paying attention to the right stuff. So yeah, I mean, and Colleen, with your comment too, I also have a son-in-law who's a writer, and he's a dedicated writer, but my daughter is doing all of the work that brings the money in. And it bothers me. Why should it bother me? They're doing fine. But there are a lot of old dialogues there. And I even remember that when I returned to work after being at home with the kids, the person I was in competition with was Tony. Because I wanted to match his energy level somehow or other out in the world, until I realized I couldn't do it anymore. So my generation really had this dug into them that they could do it all. And so I have to be more accepting of the fact that people are choosing to do lesser, but that's more important to them, what I perceive as lesser than. It's a very big change.
It is very challenging it's a constant look at yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And it's I believe it has to do with our own, if I look at the work of Debbie Ford, right, our own inadequacies that has us point the finger because we've not made peace with that part. If we had made peace, we could just say, you know what, that's fine, good for you. You do what works for you, I do what works for me, and that's that. And I know, I probably shared that with you. I learned from the best. My mom was always doing something. And there was a part of in my mind, the connection that I made was, you need to be productive to be a valued member of society. And if you look at instinct, you know, it's like, if you're not productive, if instinct is talking, you're going to be kicked out of society because you have nothing to contribute. Rather than having a victory of human spirit that is clear, that you need all the puzzle pieces. A well-functioning society needs all the puzzle pieces. And one of the thoughts that came is, you know, in ancient Greece, the priestesses in the temples, their job was to take care of themselves and taking care of the gods. And by taking care of themselves, they took care of the gods, right? And we're so far from that. And we're overworked. I would say we're undernourished, like definitely our soul is undernourished. And we're trapped in this image of having to do certain things, having to function, to having to work harder and work more. Rather than looking at it as a gift to not just ourselves, but to everybody. If we just sit and take care of ourselves. And not necessarily sitting, it could be walking, it could be, you know, whatever it is that we do, you know. And then if you look at Christianity, probably always, but if you look in particularly in since Calvin, right, the Reformation, his whole thing was about working for the greater good. That's the service to God. You have to be a productive member of society. And, you know, you can go further back though, you know, like the Jews, they have a lot of rules and regulations. So, you know, yes, they are maybe, not all of them, but maybe more connected to God or spirituality, because it's almost like in every day, right? If they celebrate the Shabbat, it's like once a week where you put everything aside to just be there and contemplate. But there's so many rules and regulations to uphold that. And that kind of led me to discipline, right? And then led me to look at the definition of discipline, so let me just, you know, so whether we make New Year's resolutions or tomorrow resolutions or however, how long do they last usually? You know, has it to do with willpower? Maybe it's nothing to do with willpower. Maybe it's the willpower and the discipline that actually gets us in trouble. Discipline is great. It's not bad per se. It has its place. But it depends on how we deal with discipline, because discipline, like I know for myself, I have a tendency to make discipline the law, right? It's the law, not just a parameter that I set for myself. And then I feel trapped and restricted. And what will happen when that happens is then I will just sit with it and work very hard. And then at one point I would just go off and drop everything. So if we force ourselves to do something, then on the other side, there's always the dropping the ball, not continuing. it almost feels like what Don Miguel Ruiz calls domestication, right? The shoulds and the have-tos and discipline. Now, discipline, definitions. It's the practice of training people to obey rules or a code of behavior using punishment to correct disobedience. Merriam-Webster says to punish or penalize for the sake of enforcing obedience and perfecting moral character. Cambridge Dictionary says the practice of making sure that people obey rules and do not cause problems. Collins Dictionary says discipline is the quality of being able to behave and work in a controlled way, which involves obeying particular rules or standards. And then I found a quote from the Cambridge School that says what the value is of discipline is it helps you stay focused on the task that you're doing. Okay, so if you look at the work of Alison Armstrong, she will tell you that women do not work well with punishment. That's not how we work best. So what now? What do you hear? What do you understand from this conversation? What comes up for you?
Do you mind if I go first?
Go ahead.
No, it's not. For me, I was surprised by the definition of discipline because that's not how I was thinking of it. But then of course, but I feel like I was thinking about it more in the way of staying focused on the task that you're doing, like it. But for me, it's like there was a couple things that came up. Like I think each person takes discipline in a different way. Like when I create discipline around something I'm trying to do or change, like it feels safe to me. It doesn't feel like restriction. It feels like I've set up guidelines that are going to keep me on the path that I say I want to be on. And obviously if there's punishment involved in that, then you're right, that doesn't work. But if there's like a pattern, like even our calls, like they're every Wednesday from 1:30 to 3:30. So I'm disciplined. I put it on my calendar. I don't schedule anything then. Like, so to me, it feels safe a lot of times when I create the discipline around something.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I haven't really put myself in situations where I feel like in a very long time, where I feel like there's someone else disciplining me for behavior out of line. If anyone's the discipliner, it's always me first. Like if I, I'm in judgment or criticism or whatever of something that I feel like I've stepped out of my own moral code of discipline, then I'm the first to jump on top of myself and berate myself. And I feel like I've gotten better. Obviously there's still a lot there, but I do feel like I offer myself a lot more grace than I have ever before. But so that's kind of what I yeah, I feel like there's a piece of me that's not really rebellious. And when you were talking, it was like, well, I know that you are rebellious. Like it's just part of who you are. Not that I am, I'm not sometimes, but for the most part, I'm okay to just, go with the flow of whatever. And so it was funny to see, I could feel it in you. Like you were like, don't tell me what to do. Because you have that rebellious spirit, which is beautiful. And I don't, maybe I'm a little more passive aggressive with it. Like I don't need to be like, don't tell me what to do. And if I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it, but I don't need to talk about it or get defense. You know what I mean? Like, And I don't know, and maybe I'm delusional and I don't see myself. Yeah, so. but it
I
just-
don't know, right? Only
Yeah.
you can tell. That's why I
Right.
said, that's why I compared it to the domestication, because it's Domiel Ruiz says that after a certain age, nobody needs to tell us what to do. We will do the job by ourselves, right?
Right.
Nobody needs to, like, we've taken the word of other people and used it against ourselves.
Yeah.
And you know, it's interesting that you're saying, like, maybe you deal with it passive aggressively, like you just don't say anything. And so that's your way of dealing with it, right?
Yeah.
No judgment there, just worth an exploration. Always worth an exploration. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
What about you, Susan?
Well, hold on. Yeah. I realized that when I'm clear-headed, when I'm feeling clear-headed, settled, I can stick to tasks. When I'm not, I can't. I just am all over the place. I like to be, I like to feel like I think I've mentioned this, like the 4 rooms of our house. I like to tap base with those every day. And I also go into judgment if I haven't done anything. But I've realized now that when I'm feeling clear-headed, relaxed with myself, I get them done. When I'm out there in competition or whatever I'm in, self-judgment, it's a spiraling circle. So I think stopping to sort of judge and stop the judging. Yeah.
That will stop when you make peace.
Yeah.
With each part of that.
Yeah. I mean, I know I have a lot of work to do on this, and I'm not looking at that despondently. I'm looking forward to it, but I know it's bigger than I thought it was.
And it always comes back to, can I just be gentle with myself, right? Can I be gentle with myself? One of the things Alison Armstrong says, well, you know, you might have all these plans, but maybe if you give yourself what you need right now, you're going to be more efficient later.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
And that's the part where we don't, or I'm going to talk for myself, where I often do not allow myself to get certain things, because what do you mean? I'm not done yet, right? Rather than, okay, so if I take a 10-minute break now, maybe I get it finished faster rather than powering through.
Yeah.
And I guess, Colleen, what I'm talking about as discipline, it's those rules and regulations that we make for ourselves, that if we don't follow through, we would deserve the death penalty, kind of. Right? In our minds, I can tell you, I was there yesterday. It was not funny. Still haven't done this. How come? Still gaining weight. What's that about? You know, and it just keeps like that. And it is very connected for me to productivity, because there is no, so we're going to talk about that in a moment. It's the drill sergeant that is there. It's like the drill sergeant that is there. And the image that I got was, she's standing over me. And she's wearing a pencil skirt, so she's like really proper and uptight, and standing over me, vomiting all over me. That's the image I got. And we're gonna, in a moment, we're gonna go inside after a break. We're gonna go inside and gonna see what it is for you. Who is your drill sergeant, and who is your slob, and what is it that you need so you can take care of them and hold them, so you can make peace with that part of yourself and not judge others. Because that always goes hand in hand. How does that sound?
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anything else you want to say or share?
Mhm.
No?
No, I think I'm
Nothing
good.
else? No? Okay, so let's take 10 minutes actually. Till the 35 mark. Okay?
Okay. Yep.
Yeah then?
Not necessarily want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, it was like yesterday, as I said, it was one of those days where it's like a downward spiral, and it's like, again, good for nothing. I'm just like, I'm good for nothing. I'm gonna stay in bed, which I didn't, but it was like I might as well, because
Yeah. I missed it last week. I felt different during the week.
Mhm.
I think it really is a great touch base of what self-care really is, not what society says it is.
Yeah. And it's both, I guess. It's
Yeah.
both,
Yeah.
because it is all the outside stuff as much as it is the inside stuff.
Yeah.
Just sometimes we lose, or how can I say that? We invalidate, no, we don't get the full benefit of the outside stuff because the inside stuff is not aligned.
Right. No, I think that's right. Or even the ability to choose it.
Mm-hmm.
We make poor choices about it, of what's good for us.
Yeah. And, it's only class 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's plenty of more of dismantling. And it was just like the pieces were like, oh, okay, so yes, we need to talk about productivity, because this is one of the big ones. Productivity is really one of the big ones in our society that has us do things, like overworking, under taking care of ourselves. It's not a word, but I just made it one. There you go.
I was thinking that the reason I was so upset about the volunteering challenges was that I realized, because I'm not updated in all the computer skills that are required nowadays,
Mhm.
I feel limited and I feel less productive. I feel less useful to society. So it's very prescient for me right now.
And for you, I also feel it's the next level of that productivity conversation, because in a way that's where we started.
Right.
I don't know how many years ago, right? Where it was that, okay, I'm slowing down, almost like I'm slowing down, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, well, I did think that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know exactly where those voices came from,
Mhm.
but they keep rising up every once in a while.
Mhm. And probably they will.
Mhm.
Because if it is instinct that is talking, right? Instinct is the voice of fear, essentially.
Mhm.
Survival. Ego. They're gonna keep coming. The question is, how do we interact with them? You know, my drill sergeant, I told you she was wearing a dark pencil skirt and she was really rigid. And in the end, she was wearing like a flowery skirt, wide, like a flowy skirt, right? With like very colorful.
You mean she lightened up, Martina?
Yeah, she did lighten up. And it was all she wants is to keep me safe. So can I give her the space and take her by the hand? You know, and why the slob is because immediately once she shut up, the slob came in. Never amounting to anything, right?
Yeah, for me, I feel the two productivity is very linked to purpose, because I feel like that's also where I am, being in this transition period of almost an empty nester, adult kids, no real career, like that kind of, well, what is my purpose? What has been my purpose? Do I have a purpose? Am I going to die without having had a purpose, you know? And it feels like it's linked to lack of productivity, or what society deems as productive.
Rather than just because you were born.
Yeah, I still resist that.
Yeah, no, and I know, I can feel it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And can you remember the puzzle? And how annoying it is if there's this one piece missing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an invitation to play with the concept, not, you know, you're going to do with it whatever you're going to do with it. But if you listen to it and keep remembering it or bringing it up, you're going to create more and more space for yourself. What you would tell me is what I'm trying to tell you. We just suck at taking it in for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else. Because we still are not connected to our source. The divine, just because we were born. Today I pulled a card. Hold on, let me get it. It's from the deck from Everyday Miracles, from Robert Holden, A Course in Miracles.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, light and joy and peace abide in me. And then on the back it says, you are as God created you, not what you made of yourself. Whatever evil you may think you did, you are as God created you. Whatever mistakes you made, the truth about you is unchanged. Your sinless is guaranteed by God. From A Course in Miracles, right? But we still are going to argue with it.
Right, because as a Catholic, you're told that's you're born a sinner,
Yeah.
which is beyond how they can say that about a perfect, innocent, loving infant comes into the world as a sinner.
As a Christian, not just as a Catholic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, probably as a Jew as well, because there's Adam and Eve, right?
Hmm.
And she committed the first sin. So why don't you just close your eyes, take a deep breath, and settle inside yourself. In that place that is so safe, so comfortable. Whether it's inside or outside, you know this place, you've been here before. And find that seat that is specifically made for you. And settle in there. And see, now that you heard all this conversation about productivity and about discipline, see if you can put it aside for right now. And allow yourself to invite that part of you that is your drill sergeant. Allow that part of you to come closer. And look what it looks like. And feel what it feels like to be in the presence of that part of you. And if you want to make some notes, maybe you see what they're wearing. Maybe you see their demeanor. Maybe you sense the quality they represent. And maybe you don't have to. Maybe knowing that that's your drill sergeant is enough. And if you want to, you can give it a name, different than your own. And again, take a moment to notice what it feels like to be in the presence of that part of you. How do you feel? Are you free? Are you constricted? Are you shrinking? Or are you standing up tall? Just notice what it feels like. To be in the presence of that part. And then take a deep breath and ask this part to share with you whatever they want to say. Let it all come out. You're not good enough, unworthy, whatever version of that. your drill sergeant has to tell you. Listen and breathe. Don't take it personally. Don't make it mean anything. Just listen. Then take another deep breath. And ask if there's anything else. Anything else they need to tell you. And then once they're done, ask them why they're here. Why do they exist? Why are they important for you in your life? And then take another deep breath. And thank them for being here for those reasons. And tell them that you're a grown-up now. That you can take care of yourself. That they can let go of that tight grip they're having. And ask them what they need to be able to let go. What do they need to know? What do they need to understand? So they can let go. So they can calm down. And see if there's a specific action they need you to take or a practice you need to begin. So they can let go. What specific action or practice do they need you to take? And then take another deep breath. And ask them for a sign so they can let you know when you're really in danger. so they can alert you when you really need it, rather than screaming at you all the time. And you can negotiate with them if it doesn't work for you. So see if you can find something, some way that they can alert you that is not a constant loud chatter. And then take another breath. And ask if there's anything else they want you to know. Or anything else they need to say so they can be complete. And now thank them. And as you do, just look at them. Do they look the same? Do they feel the same? What has changed? And if you want to make some notes, and then you can invite your drill sergeant to just sit next to you for right now in your beautiful garden. That is, if your drill sergeant didn't sit down before, but I doubt it. So invite them to sit. Maybe even take it by the hand. And then take another deep breath. And invite the slob to come be with you. Whatever that part looks like, whatever that part is for you. For me, it was an old, very, very overweight man that was very stinky, like a homeless person. So just look and see, what does your slob look like? What does it feel like to be in the presence of that slob? And if you want to, give them a name that is different than your own. And see if you can sense the quality they represent. Or not, maybe slob is enough. And now, invite the slob to talk. See what they have to say to you. Maybe it's the same as the drill sergeant. Maybe it's different. Maybe it's connected to your body part or not. So just know this. It's too hard. I don't want to do that. I never get out of here, so it doesn't matter. Whatever it is for you. And if you want to make some notes, And take another deep breath. And ask the slob if there's anything that they need from you. Anything that this part needs from you. Maybe it's a practice, maybe it's an action. What do they need to be able to let go? What do they need to be able to let you do nothing, relax, enjoy life? Maybe they need a hug. Maybe they need to be acknowledged or appreciated. So they've been working really hard in supporting you to just take a break, and you've resisted them, overlooked them. Or maybe not. Take another deep breath. Settle back down. And see if there's anything else this part of you needs to say, ask, tell you. Maybe a mantra or a power statement or not. Then take another breath and ask the slob what it has to say about discipline. How could you use discipline? Or how could you rephrase discipline so it serves you? See if that part has anything to say about it. And then turn to your drill sergeant and ask your drill sergeant what it has to say about discipline. Maybe it is how many rules you should set. Maybe it's no more than 2 rules. Or 2 things to do each day. Or 5 things to do each day. Just listen. How can you work together with these 2 parts that are opposites? So the slob doesn't need to call the drill sergeant a drill sergeant, and the drill sergeant doesn't need to call the slob a slob. How can they work together? For you. Maybe there's something that you need from them. Maybe you need a drill sergeant to remind you, and this love to remind you, whatever it is. That it's okay to be wherever you are, to be gentle, kind, and compassionate. And then take another deep breath. And now look at that sloppy part of you. Did it change? How does it feel now to be in their presence? What do they look like now? And if you want to, give them both a big hug. Thank them for having come. Thank them for having given you this insight so you can let go and find more peace, just a little more. So you're able to choose powerfully. And thank yourself for having taken this time. And when you're ready, get up from your chair, come back into the room that you're sitting in. And open your eyes. And make any notes that you need to or want to. And then let me know. Let me know what stood out. Let me know what insights you gained.
Um, for me, I think, I don't know, I kind of disconnected or fell asleep or something when the slob part came out at first, but I think the message was like to accept that I was busy doing other things that were important to me, and that just to accept and love that that happened, and that it's beautiful and fine. And
What's your action steps?
what was funny, because the drill sergeant was like, take action, clean the office, start painting. And I was like, wait a minute.
That was the drill sergeant.
Yeah. And then when the slab came on board, it was kind of interesting, because if you join their energies together, it feels like so much better balance. And you know, like maybe hire an accountability partner and make it more fun, and, you know, and also like, it's more of like, not I have to or I should, it's I want to and I get to, like, because what's on the other side of completing it is like freedom and just feeling better, like a sense of pride, or like enjoying the space and clarity and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Did this drill sergeant look different at the end?
Just not as stern, like not as mean, kind of. I think just like, no, I'm that energy, but I'm not mean. I'm just, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a little harder and, you know, more regimented, but that doesn't make me wrong or bad or whatever. And the sloppy, disheveled kind of looking person was just normal, just, you know, like how I look right now.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. And they kind of were like, can we be friends and not enemies? Can, you know, can we all like be friends here?
What's the answer to that?
Yeah, I mean, it was an agreement with like, oh, that makes much more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you need something to remind you of them both? Do you need
No,
to
I
structure?
just wrote just to revisit them and see the best way that we can all work together, kind of thing. But as far as
How often do you need to revisit? Like every day or?
no, I don't know, because now my head's getting in there. So
Okay, see if you can just journal on it and find out like how often.
okay.
Okay.
Because then it feels like a should and like I feel like it's going to be more inspired than like it's just going to be like, okay, of course that's what I'm doing because that's what I want to do right now. And yeah, more than a have to or a no.
Mhm. You know, for me was yesterday was like carrying around the stone. That's what I did. Like one of my one of my little rocks. I was just carrying it with me everywhere. Like it was in my pocket, and then it's like, oh hello, you know, just as a reminder, not as a. So yeah.
Yeah, I have to think
Like
about that.
look for you, right? Whatever it is for you. I don't have your answer, and you know that. That was mine, right? I also was wearing I was wearing my colorful scarf that you gave me for the drill sergeant, right? It's like, oh yeah, you know, so I can just keep remembering. Hello. Whatever structure works for you. Cool. Okay. What about you, Susan?
Well, the drill sergeant came out loud and clear. She was really beautifully dressed. She was wearing stiletto heels. Her name was Cassidy, which is I also think of as a male name as well as a female name. And she was very she was very model-like and with this angelic face, but she was like steel. And her mantra was, I do everything to perfection.
Okay.
The The slob was a little harder for me to grab, but his name was Rufus, and I was saying Rufus the Goofus, but and I liked him. I liked being around him. I mean, he was kind of fun. He was much more relaxing than the other one, but I felt uncomfortable with her. I felt more comfortable with him, but I get antsy around him when he was there too much.
Mm.
Focus, let's see. I've got such crazy notes.
Like what stood out? You know, what was, wow.
Which one was the loudest? Did you say?
No, what stood out?
What stood out was that she had a very preset way of talking and addressing me that was very like, he was much more comfortable. I was much more comfortable with him, but her voice kept
Mm.
overriding a lot of stuff.
Uh-huh.
So, okay. The next steps for me, one of them was to write her a letter downsizing her job.
Wow.
Yeah, like saying, I don't really, I like you, I admire you, but you're too much. And you're just not the right fit for me all the time at all. Let's see, I can't remember.
What do they provide? So what did she provide for both of you, Colleen and Susan? What was her purpose? Why is she there?
Well, for me, her purpose was to keep me on track so that I do get things done, because I can be very drifty, dreamy. And that's an old dialogue that I heard from my mom. Susie, you're always drifting, dreaming. You're 4 steps behind, get with the program. So she's there.
So you learn from the best.
I mean, my mom was extraordinary in what she got done, but my sister and I both suffer from the consequences of that, of feeling like we are not accomplishing as much. This okay, why don't you answer that? She asked.
Yeah, it was actually the same for me. She said, so you get things done and don't hurt yourself or screw up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the other one was about. I just imagine it's probably just like not taking things as seriously and knowing when to relax or something, but I didn't really write anything down.
And as Martina, as you were saying earlier, the people that don't go full throttle on something, I had this perception that they are sloughing off. The creative person is not as useful or necessary as the other person who is doing the hard work, which is a thing I'm really, Scott has been put in my life to deal with this, because he is doing what he's really good at, but it's not paying much, right? So I feel like I've been giving some gifts to deal with this at a very deep level. But I didn't think I had to deal with it in my own life as much as I do now.
Well, you know, you only see him because you have not made peace with that part of you.
Right.
And we've had this conversation several times, right? We're in a world of it takes one to know one. How are you like that?
Right.
One of the things I was looking at was we're so quick to point the finger because we don't want to deal with ourselves. So it's easier to put the blame out there than turn around and look at you. And that's for every argument, really. But, you know, when we're judging people, why is it your business? Why are you getting triggered? You know, if it's somebody's business, then it's Alexa's business and not yours.
Yeah.
And it's an agreement they made together.
Yeah.
And it's not easy.
Not easy, but he's such a hell of a good guy. I mean, he is one of the nicest human beings I've ever met.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Anything else about those parts? Quite insightful, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, but I know now what I want to do during my day. I want to ask the question every day about what am I doing? What am I pointing at, particularly in the productivity, get things done? Who are the people that are my question marks, and who are the people that I'm thinking of as being so amazing about whatever they're doing? And what is the baseline that I want to create for that? And I have to start with myself.
Mm-hmm. And again, going back to the Miguel Ruiz, you know, one of the 4 agreements is always do your best, right? But your best today is different than the one yesterday or tomorrow. And your best right now is different than the one half an hour ago.
Yeah.
But we don't interact with it that way. Because our drill sergeant is right there. It's like, oh, yesterday you could do that. How come you cannot do it right now? What's up with that?
And thinking you're the same every day with the same energy level every day, I realized I was beating myself up on days when I just needed to relax. I just needed, okay, it's okay to do that. And then the next day I was full of vim and yeah, I wanted to go and engage and whatever.
Mm-hmm. And not make that mean anything.
Yeah. I was giving it way too much daily criticism.
Okay. I'm curious to hear what's going to happen after they now play together and embrace, and how that's going to go. Because we need them both, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we need them both balanced. It reminds me of the movie Inside Out, when there is the, like, so the Inside Out, it's a cartoon about what's going on in this girl's head, right? They just moved to a different town, and she has, you know, like there's the happy, the angry, the sad, the whatever. And the happy says, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy. There's no space for anyone else because I am happy. And so the sad one kind of disappears and everything falls down, right? Everything comes crashing down. So unless we have all balanced and working together, we're always going to be running behind.
Right.
Beautiful.
Yeah, this has been a really good session for me. Thank you. It's been great.
You're very welcome.
Well, to both of you too, because Colleen's comments also.
So I can be at peace with being not good enough to lead this course.
I don't even know how that came up on your screen.
I'm like, I tell you, it was in a downward spiral yesterday, which was really like it started with my weight. It started, it just went on and on and on and on. And I was like, okay, my drill sergeant is really having a good day today. Yeah. So I am really excited to see where you're going with this and the space that you're creating. I actually was thinking that I'd love to, I wish I had come up with some questions or some kind of, in yoga, we call it a marker pose, something we do at the beginning of the class and something, and at the end of the class, it's kind of a measuring stick so you can know how far you've come. I wish I had thought of that at the beginning. I'm not really sure what that measuring stick would be. Maybe on a scale from 1 to 10, where are you? That probably would be the easiest. But I'm really curious to see where we're going to end up. This was only class 4. So.
Yeah, and I just want to mention there, I thought we had, are we skipping another class somewhere in the middle? So then I think we don't need to end on the 26th if today was really the 4th class, because we end at 10, correct?
Yes.
And I think that's the 19th, if I counted right.
Okay. Did I make
Wednesdays.
it? Okay. I guess I counted wrong. Okay.
I could be wrong, but that's what I counted today, so I can recount. Because I actually thought today was the 3rd class, not the 4th class. And I was like, wait a minute. And then I went back and I was like, oh yeah, it's the 4th class.
Already, yeah.
So,
yeah. And I might add on one in the end. So keep that in your calendar still.
Okay.
Because, it's always like the completion celebration, whatever. So, but, we'll see when we get closer. Okay. Okay, my ladies, pleasure. Such a pleasure to be with you. And I'll send the recording and hopefully the other thing goes through. I don't know what's going on with my phone, but if it's not today, maybe it's later or tomorrow or whenever.
Martina, can you remind me of, do you put that in messages or do you put that in an email? Because I couldn't.
Messages. The cards,
Okay.
I put in messages. And then I forgot I had pulled a card.
Recording? Is the recording in messages?
Messages, yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right.
And I pulled the Cheryl Richardson self-care card and it was wisdom.
Oh, okay.
And it says, let go of the need to control. Trust the wisdom of a divine plan. So there you go.
Perfect.
Perfect. We have compassion and we have wisdom. So it's always perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, my ladies, have a fabulous week.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you both.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye.